In this video, I'm going over a little bit of arrow building tips and some little tweaks to the bow. It's all over the board. I guess that's going to be my style. I don't have to be like anybody else. So check these few clips out and let me know what you think. Quick little insert. I think I am going to do a 340 spine. I have 24 300s. Maybe they'll work for something different later, or I'll exchange them for something different. But I have tons of 340s laying around. I just did a little bit more paper tuning. These seem to shoot really well through the paper, and according to my past experience and Archer's Advantage and spine charts, this should be ideal. So I was getting a misreading due to my cam needing to be pushed over to the right there. So should be good. I'm gonna have 15 of these that I'm gonna strip down. They're beautiful with nice helical blazers, but anybody that knows me knows that I shoot left helical because that's the way the bowstrings are twisted, and that's the way they're served, and that's the way the arrow naturally spins when it comes out of the bow. So that's what I'm gonna do. Strip off these beautiful right helicals. I fletched these a couple years ago before I knew any better. So long task, stripping, refletching, but they are Levi Morgan edition arrows. That's cool. He's a respectable person. I kind of met him at Reading. I didn't say much to him because I know he's there for a purpose, as a lot of people that shoot professionally. I don't shoot professionally. I just like to have fun. But he's an outstanding guy. He stands for a lot of good things. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. So, all right, arrow building. Just thought of a tip as I'm stripping these off here. So I like to use that style razor blade. I like to use fresh ones that are sharp and lay it very close to the shaft, cut it off at the base, get as much off as I can with it being as flat as possible, come in at an angle, high risk of stripping off layers of carbon, and then to me that arrow is going to be useless and unsafe to shoot. Once I get it down most of the way, then I come in at a 90. You can see that, okay? So it's going to be like that, and I do this scraping motion back and forth to get it off. Like to have good lighting so I can see what I'm doing, make sure I'm not damaging it. And another side note, whatever I fletched these with a couple years ago, they are on there better than any other arrows I've ever done. Just super duper on there good. I wish I didn't have to strip these and redo them to the left, but oh well. I think what I used to clean these was this, I think it's pronounced Limexol from Boning. They don't make it anymore. It's non-toxic. It smells like oranges. It's way better to use this stuff than denatured alcohol or acetone. I mean, maybe there's some other stuff out there. Somebody knows something that's not toxic and cancerous and smells horrible that's similar to this, let me know. I'm down to quarter bottle of that stuff. So all right, I'm gonna keep going. Got 5 arrows left. It's going pretty good, getting back in the groove. In future videos coming up, I will discuss what I do for broadhead flight, for fixed blade broadheads. I imagine you could do the same for expandables. I just don't use them. They're not legal here in Idaho. but just my process, because that's such a common thing that I've seen in all my years of working with customers and helping them with their bows and their bow setups, is people just have the hardest time getting broadheads to fly for whatever reason. I've mixed and matched different techniques and essentially have a step-by-step process that goes along with my arrow builds, do's and don'ts, to give me the confidence, and I have excellent luck getting my broadheads to hit the same as my field points without really ever having to touch my bow or my rest once it's tuned and shooting good. As long as I build my arrow in the way that I do it, it works. So stay tuned for that. Got the flame going, all 15 arrows stripped. I decided I'm gonna go ahead and install, that's blurry, sorry, unibushings. So I deemed that the standard nocks that I was running on those gold tips, I was getting some knock pinch, and in the process of checking different arrows for tune, one of them was a 340 that had a bushing and an Easton G knock in it, and that one worked good and I wasn't getting any knock pinch, so that solves my problem of not having to cut off my knock set and loop and retie it. I'm just gonna change knocks. So how I install these bushings is on a pencil, put it in using boning cool melt, heat it just a hair to see that haze burn off of there, heat up the cool melt a little bit, put a generous amount on, and then slightly heat that, just quick pass through, push it into the shaft. Get it in just enough, and then I let that set for a couple seconds and then peel off the excess of it. Note that I have squared the backs of these shafts, so that's an important thing for good component alignment and good flight down the road with broadheads and all of that as well. Also want to be squaring the fronts of your shafts, and I'll just give you a little tip ahead of time about the broadhead tuning that I was talking about. It has to do with how you build and put together your components of your arrow with it being square and flush. A lot of people will have 6 arrows or a dozen arrows, they practice with all of them, and your insert in repetitive impact to the target, you're not going to notice a flight difference with your field points, but your inserts will get tweaked in there, especially if you're running a micro diameter with an outsert system. They're even more susceptible to that. They get tweaked, and then even these standard diameter carbon arrows, the inserts can get tweaked in there. So I don't practice with my hunting arrows. I build one broadhead arrow, square it to the T, align the blades to my vanes, spin test it, make sure that it is aligned and spin straight, the broadhead and the insert spin straight, and then I'll go to a chosen distance, 20 yards or whatever, shoot that broadhead, then shoot my field point, verify they hit together, and back it up to 40 to 60 yards, and yeah, it works good.